It's Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Let's get going. Story number 1, the peak trade union body wants millions of workers to be given the right to work from home, while at the same time employer bodies argue that forcing people to work 8 hours straight should be dumped.
The Australian Council of Trade Unions said employers should only be able to refuse working from home requests on reasonable grounds, the same way they are legally required to treat requests for flexible arrangements from parents, carers and disabled workers. The peak body wants requests to work from home to have the same status as basic rights under the National Employment Standards. That very much applies to disabled workers, parents, carers over 55s. They can request a change in work patterns. Their boss can only refuse after rigorous consultation. It's part of the ACTU's submission to a Fair Work Commission review of industry awards affecting the pay and conditions of up to about 2.5 million workers to ensure conditions take into account the needs of those with caring responsibilities. Now, earlier this week, the Australian Industry Group and the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, two peak employer groups, told the Fair Work Commission that awards that set wages and conditions should dump guardrails for set shifts and minimum pay for casuals and part-timers working from home. The groups argue that people clocking in from home might be better suited to work 8 hours outside the normal timeframes, particularly if they have caring responsibilities.
And just quickly, Sean, on the same theme, there's also a test case at the moment for the government's new same job, same pay laws, which could lift pay packets of miners by $20,000 a year.
The Mining and Energy Union applied for Fair Work Commission orders to require that WorkPac's 330 labour hire workers at a mine in central Queensland be paid the same as the direct workforce. Now, the union's bid, which would cover 60% of the mine's workforce, says WorkPac's labour hire workers are paid somewhere between 10 and 20,000 less than direct employees, depending on the classification. It's the first time the new legislation passed late last year has been tested. MEU reckons it'll be tested a few more times in coming months. Plenty going on in the world of industrial relations, Michael.
There certainly is. All right, on to story number 2 now. And Beijing has recommended dropping tariffs on Australian wine exports worth $1 billion in a boost to the industry.
The Chinese government's interim recommendation says duties on Aussie wines are no longer necessary. The final decision will be announced at the end of this month. Trade Minister Don Farrell said the interim decision was welcome. It also highlights what Foreign Minister Penny Wong described as a more stable relationship between the two countries. Beijing imposed $20 billion in sanctions on Australian products during heightened tensions back in 2020. Sanctions worth $2 billion remain on wine, rock lobsters and some abattoirs. China's ambassador to Australia on Monday said the review was moving in the right direction. Now, Treasury Wine Estates boss Tim Ford was pretty happy about the announcement yesterday. His company's share price closed up as a result.
Story number 3 now. Qantas is set to shake up its loyalty program, allowing travellers to book more flights using fewer frequent flyer points.
The new scheme is likely to be called Classic Plus and convert one frequent flyer point to 1 cent for economy flights, according to the Financial Review. The conversion is likely to be more generous for higher cabin classes, but at economy level, it means that a $100 flight would cost 10,000 frequent flyer points. The airline's frequent flyer scheme is the biggest in the country, 15.2 million members and growing. The existing program offers 2 ways to redeem points. Travellers can secure classic reward seats, which use a set number of points, although these are often hard to find. Alternatively, they can use some points and pay the remainder. That values the points at about 0.7 of 1 cent. So this new scheme is more generous. Expect to hear more about it in about a month's time.
Story number 4, Taylor Swift, Sean, can do many things, but alas, she can't save the Australian economy.
That's sort of. The findings from the Commonwealth Bank Household Spending Insights for the month. Perhaps I should apologise to CommBank for saying that, but Ms Swift certainly gets a mention in the report. The bank has information on purchasing from 7 million cards, so the series is a great real-time view of the world. The index was down 0.3% last month. It has trended down for the last few months. There were falls in a bunch of categories in February, but a massive 76% jump in spending at music festivals. Ah, yes, the Swift effect. About 600,000 Swifties attended the 7 concerts in Sydney and Melbourne last month. They spent plenty of money, but not enough to turn around a pullback in consumer spending.
Last one, story number 5. How about this, Sean? A Japanese company backed by Canon Inc., sending its first rocket to space yesterday, suffered a major setback when the vehicle exploded within seconds of takeoff.
A self-destruct order was sent just seconds after launch, and the lightweight Kairos rocket, developed by Space One Co., exploded in flames. Quite spectacular. The rocket was carrying a government satellite into space, and the smaller than normal vehicle was set to fill a niche by offering competitive prices and frequent missions. It was the first attempted launch into space after a March 9 liftoff date had to be delayed because the vessel was found offshore in what was supposed to be an evacuated area. And it wasn't very successful. Worth chasing that footage, Michael.
I'll be sure to check that one out, Sean. That's it, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Thursday, the 14th of March, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed Business News wherever you listen to podcasts. That comes with a bunch of interviews and things as well. Today's interview is a great one for investors. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.